Hello and welcome to Race Day Nation. This is your post-race edition, March 13th, 2022. Hi, I'm Rob D'Amico. Before I get started with this weekend's winners list, here's our co-host, Michele Rahal, with the headlines.
How are you? It's been quite the week in motorsports, from Bahrain Formula One all the way through IMSA to tonight's race in Phoenix. But it's not a surprise that Nikita Mazepin lost his ride with the U.S.-based Haas Formula One team. He and his father, Dimitri, they were listed on the EU sanction list. That makes them persona non grata, and it's no surprise that Gene Haas had to can him. I mean, we'll talk more about it later in the show, but the big news is, Kevin Magnussen is back, and that's a good thing for them. They're doing quite well. In IMSA, the list for the 12 Hours of Sebring has burgeoned to 53 entries. Now, that's not a record, but it's certainly, coming off a pandemic and the 7 plagues of Egypt, is pretty damn good. We'll talk more about that later. Verstappen, he set the fast time in Bahrain Formula One, but nobody, and I do mean nobody, really knows what's going on until those lights go out in Bahrain next week, the first race. But McLaren has also signed Colton Herta to its new F1 driver program, and that's a real thing to talk about between he and Andretti. So we'll talk more about that later in the show. But hugely, the popular series Drive to Survive, I had to binge the damn thing. I watched it. It's pushed the Formula One series into a frenzy in the United States for popularity we haven't seen before. The biggest problem that they're having is the editing of the stories, and they're actually creating stories where there may not be any. But, the point is, I couldn't care less, because the truth of the matter is, it's just bringing Formula One to the top in the United States. But we'll talk about Andretti and Haas later on in the show. Rob?
Yeah, well, I want to make sure, everybody, you log on to racedaynation.com. You're going to get our podcast there and 8 others as well. You're also going to find some great stories from TobyChristie.com. We've partnered with him. We're going to be doing some stuff with those guys here in the near future. And don't forget, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook and all that, Twitter, at RaceDay Nation. And you can follow me at Rob D'Amico. That's ROBDAMICO. And Michele, where can they follow you?
They can find me at Michele Rahal. That's MICHELE RAHAL and the number 9, which I still can't figure out. But nonetheless, that's where you can find me on Instagram.
All right, so let's start talking about the series Drive to Survive, because I absolutely love it. I'm about 4 episodes in season 4, and the big surprise that I found, we know that Horner and Toto can't stand each other, and that's kind of a main. Yeah, that's a main story throughout the entire thing, because it is real. That does happen. What I do find interesting is the stuff like with Daniel Ricciardo, this happy-go-lucky guy. You always see him on social media dancing around, smiling, being, the sunshine in the room, if you will.
Yeah.
At some points last year, the guy looked very depressed, couldn't figure out the car, wasn't sure if he was, going to be able to, beat his teammate at the time. And now I think, you saw that, and I thought that's the interesting part to me.
Yeah, you are looking at a hell of a driver in Lando Norris. There's no doubt about it. But Lando got a lot of experience in that car, and he had some awfully good teachers along the way. Ricciardo, when you find somebody that has that, that type of personality, that it's outgoing, it's funny, they're having a great time. Those are the kinds of people that can have highs and lows in their personalities. And, when you begin to doubt yourself, that's a bad thing. So, and this week he's got, he may have a replacement for the Bahrain Grand Prix because he's tested positive for COVID-19. And Piastri, who dominated Formula 2 last year, is one of Alpine's stand-in drivers, reserve drivers, but Al offered him as a replacement for Ricciardo if Ricciardo's still sick come next week. If he can't make that, get in the car and make that drive, then they'll put Piastri in the car. And which I think that's I think it's a fantastic choice. the guy should have been in Formula One. I mean, he didn't just win in Formula Two, he dominated. And whenever you dominate something like that, you deserve it. You deserve the ride in F1.
We'll get to more F1 news coming up. I want to hit on that Colton Herta story because that's a big one. The Andretti situation with Formula One. So it'll be interesting to see. But right now it's time for the winners list, the race day winners list. And the only two races that were happening this weekend was the Xfinity race at Phoenix and the Cup race at Phoenix as well. So we'll start with the Xfinity race, and congratulations goes to Noah Gragson. Congratulations there. Brandon Jones, we appreciate it. Josh Berry, you're third right there. Trevor Bain, John Hunter Nemechek, Ty Gibbs, AJ Allmendinger, Daniel Hemrick, Landon Castle, and Justin Allgaier are your top 10 in the series for the Xfinity series. Congratulations to all those guys, and a great win for Noah Gragson. I mean, this kid has been on fire this year. You know, he's won some races last year, but he was able to come over here this year and get to a great start. I thought he was going to pull it off in Vegas, his hometown there, but unfortunately he couldn't do that. But he pulls it off here in Phoenix. Congratulations to him. Puts him on the race days winners list. And Michele, these young guys really showing their way around and, you know, racing for, you know, Junior Motorsports over there. He's got a great car, great ride, and it just shows how competitive the Xfinity series can be.
Extremely competitive, and if I'm not mistaken, they're awfully close to the next gen car. There's some things that are different on them. Am I correct? I'm not.
Yeah, so it's not like a next gen car. You don't have the single lug wheels.
Right.
It doesn't have the plate on the bottom. It's kind of the same car as the old car, except they have the composite body on them now. So they're a little tougher, a little better at the beating and banging. I don't see that car happening in the near future, but it should be the next gen worthy coming shortly.
Well, it's, you know, I mean, they got to get the cup on the cup cars. They got to get the center lock wheels done right first. You know, once they've done that, then okay, maybe they can switch over. But they've had a hell of a time with these tires. They're actually the wheels. And you would have thought that they would have employed or brought in, you know, somebody like McLaren or somebody that is very, very experienced with these center lock wheels and what it takes to make them work and to do 2-second pit stops in Formula One. But, and I'm a little confused at Penske. I mean, Penske obviously made sure that they rounded out the pivot holes that actually align the tire, the wheel, onto the lugs so that they can get that center lock on. They've been unable to do that, and so they've had some screw ups.
So what if you turn this wheel around? If you look at the wheel on the right, obviously that's the new center hub wheel with the lock on it there, and it goes counterclockwise when it tightens. So when the car's moving on one side and it on the other side, it goes the other way. So the wheel always stays locked. But what's on the back side of that, if you're looking at the tire on the right hand side of your screen there, there's a silver spot. And that on the back end of that, it's got a bunch of holes in it. And those holes then line up with the hub itself. It's almost like the old version, the one you see here on the left, where the studs come through those holes. Yeah. There's little studs that go into the ring in the back there and kind of lock it in place. What happens is if you don't get them in there and it's sitting on top like this, you're locking the wheel down, sitting on top, and it's actually not in place. Yeah. So that's part of the problem that they're having. And then the other big problem is when a tire does go down, it's sitting on the ground because of that big plate that's on the bottom and the low profile tires. So that's been an issue as well. NASCAR said, hey, we'll tow you back. We did see in the Phoenix race today, we did see a tire come off one of the cars, but he did get into the wall. But what we did find out is that the center hub on the lock was off the car, and that's what made the tire come off. The rim actually came off the car because, again, it wasn't sitting in there. It was sitting on there. So that's the problem.
Well, I mean, how hard is it to cantilever those pivot holes to where when you're going on with that stud of the wheel that they don't easily line up? They should be able to slide in without having a squared off hole for the peg to come through. It should be cantilevered to where it's easy to slide the thing on.
So
I saw some quick pit. I actually saw some very quick pit stops today with that system.
yeah,
But I think NASCAR needs to take a good strong look at the way the tires are, the studs, the pilot holes line up with those studs that hold the wheel in place.
they do
Otherwise,
have
you're
them.
going to end up screwing up the center lock wheel, the nut.
Yeah, they do have a cantilever, but they're still having some issues. So some things to work out. They're getting there. Listen, it's a brand new car. I think it looks great. I think they're doing a great job with it. We'll have to see how it all plays out here. I want to get into that here in a second, but let me finish out with the winners report here. Chase Briscoe won the NASCAR Cup race today at Phoenix. Ross Chastain, great job on his part. Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Daniel Suarez, and Chris Buescher round out your top 10. Some names you don't normally hear in there, which I'm very surprised at, but I'm glad Chase Briscoe, young kid at Stewart-Haas Racing. You know, everybody was pointing at another Hendrick car being the car to beat out here because they've run the gamut here with the West Coast swing. But it was a Stewart-Haas Racing driver in that number 14, so congratulations to him. And it just shows you, and I'm going to play something here in a second from Alex Bowman from last week, his win. But it just shows you these young guys now with this new car and everybody, I don't want to say on an even playing field because it'll never be with some of those big teams and the money that's behind those teams. Yeah. It'll never be that, but they have an opportunity here.
Yeah, they've caught on. They were able, I think the younger drivers are able to adapt more quickly. And it seems to be the case right now. We'll see what happens, you know, by the 5th or the 6th race as to who has caught on and who hasn't. But once you've gotten some, you don't want to call it momentum because each track is very different. You can win on one track and look like a fool on the next one. It just happens that way.
Yeah.
And, you know, but if you can get used to the machinery quickly, then you're okay. We're seeing the same thing in Formula One right now.
All right. I want to switch gears here for a moment. We had last week's winner, Alex Bowman at Las Vegas, say something about the car and the parity. Maybe these guys are on to something right now, like I was mentioning Trackhouse and what Ross Chastain running second in today's race, what he's able to do. But this is a guy that, you know, was able to go and win. And now some of these other teams, you got a Tyler Reddick up in that top 10. You got a Chris Buescher running up there. So maybe this is leveling the playing field a little bit. It's not going to ever level it, but here, let's hear what Alex had to say.
There have definitely been people that have surprised people, and my opinion is that you'll have that a lot through the first half of the season, and then once the bigger teams get time developing things, I mean, you're never going to shut down the giant race teams, right? But I could be totally wrong on that. There's people way smarter than me making decisions, and it'll be interesting to see how the course of the year plays out.
I mean, he's right. Right now, it seems like, okay, everybody's trying to figure it out. Even we were talking about Kevin Harvick having a pretty crappy season to start, but had a pretty good race today. I'm not going to lie. He looked good today.
Well, you expect that from Harvick at Phoenix.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with the gear shifts and everything. Yeah, I mean, you expect that him to be good. But he's had problems just like all the other veterans seem to be having some problems. The young ones just seem to have caught on. I think it's just their adaptability.
So do you think the car today with this new car, the pit crew trying to get used to the pits, the new style, the lug itself, them trying to get that car and the tire issue out on the track, leveling the plane? It's not level. It'll never be level. I don't care.
Money levels the playing field.
That's right. And that's the difference here. But I do expect right now everybody's a little bit closer. So you got the smaller teams and the big teams. Yeah. It's like this. But once the big teams start spending the money and figuring this thing out, it's going to separate again. And that's going to be
the 5th or 6th race is what that's just my guess.
Yeah.
But these, the one thing that you might consider leveling the field out is that the bodies and the chassis have to be straight. I mean, they no longer can stagger these things the way they used to. And that may be a completely different way of driving for some of these veterans. So for at least 5, maybe 4 races, they're going to figure this out. There's way too much money involved. It's like mini Formula One. They'll figure it out. They'll get it figured out. And money does that. Penske is going to waste no effort to make it happen. So these smaller teams better get all they can get now. That's the ticket. Bank as much in the insurance policy as you can right now, and you might have a shot later on down the line.
Well, that's my point, is like right now, these guys, the younger guys, are being able to put, like you said, put some of that in the bank to get those top 10 finishes, right. Finish up, get in the top 5. And you're seeing that each and every week. I'm so impressed with Trackhouse Racing's done. That's the team that obviously came in and they bought. It's Justin Marks. He ended up buying the Ganassi team, got some backing with Pitbull, which I thought that it's pretty cool to see. They have Daniel Suarez and Ross Chastain running with them. It's, again, the old Kurt Busch car that they had, and Ross Chastain with Ganassi. So it's pretty neat to watch those guys be able to compete with these big boys. I just don't know how long that's going to last. And
it may not last too long, but what they do have is when you purchase something, you're buying their intellectual property as well. So that means all the setups, all the whatever they knew, and they knew very little about this new car.
Right.
But whatever intellectual property that came along with the sale has definitely benefited, that team.
Yeah. All right. So it's time now. It's Rob D'Amico, Michele Rahal. This is RaceDay Nation. We want to talk a little F1 and the speeds that we saw this week. I do have a graphic, but I know that, Michele, you said that the speeds that I have may be a little off, or the wrong ones that I have up here.
No, actually what you had was the conglomeration of 3 days of testing, right?
Yeah.
But the actual final 6th day was Verstappen, Leclerc, Alonso, George Russell, Valtteri Bottas, Yuki Tsunoda, Sergio Perez, Mick Schumacher, Lando Norris, and Sebastian Vettel. So nobody knows what's really happening because they're running on different tires. C5 tire being, I think, the softest, the hardest. C1, no, I'm trying to remember which one is which, but I think C5 is the softest tire. And I believe C4 is what Verstappen set the fastest time on. But the point is who's running steadily, reliably. And that right now, Ferrari, I don't care what Binotto says, the team leader, the principal for Ferrari, he's just trying to play it down. But they're reliable. They're fast. They got 2 very fast drivers that want to beat each other so bad.
Oh, yeah.
It's ridiculous. They want to win. So they could insert themselves into what you still don't ever want to rule Mercedes-Benz out. They may show up at the race, this coming race, with a whole different system, with updates that we didn't expect, to be able to handle this porpoising effect where the car is bouncing up and down the straightaway. It was bad enough to where I believe it was Russell in the pit lane was porpoising. So it's one of those things. If you make the car stiffer, because you've now got 18-inch tires on these cars instead of the 13-inch rims, you've got big rims. That part of the car, the tires themselves, the older tires were more like balloons. Therefore, they were like part of the suspension. In fact, they were the first part of the suspension. So they took a lot of the beating. Now, to set these cars any stiffer, you're going to end up, if you hit a curb, you might as well, these guys might as well start wearing teeth guards like fighters, because it'll knock your damn teeth out. I mean, they're so hard. A street race just in these Atlantics, and years ago in '86, it would knock your teeth out running over a manhole or running over any little undulation in the road. It would just knock your teeth right out. And I can only imagine what these are like, what the F1 cars are like.
Well, I was reading some stuff online today, and I saw that, kind of Red Bull shows their hand a little bit. They waited until the final day to show their striking sideboard update, and they did not unleash their front wing end plates until the final few hours, which I thought was pretty neat. And a little gameplay there, because we know Mercedes has a few issues to fix. Some people were calling them out saying, hey, this is all BS. This is part of the game that we play here. And, a little sandbagging going on. But Lewis, I guess, was focusing on the long runs in the morning, while Russell was, running the lower fuel on softer compounds in the afternoon, just to see how it would go. And so they are struggling to control the bounce, or the porpoising, I should say, which has become the key feature in the new generation of these cars. So it'll be pretty neat to see where this all plays out once we hit the track at Bahrain, and everybody, actually has to race what they have.
Yeah, what stuns me the most is this has happened before. This was back in the 80s when they ran ground
the porpoising.
Yeah, and they were able to mitigate that. And you would have thought, you really would, these guys at this level would have looked back historically, and even though their wind tunnels were showing them no porpoising, that doesn't make any difference. I mean, it's what hits the track that actually counts. You would have thought that they would have gone back and historically examined what should we do to prevent this if it happens, and it did. Some of the teams have figured it out with outlets to let some of the air out from underneath the cars. When they go to the bottom, it releases some of the air to keep it from porpoising, from going boom, 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 boom. But we'll have to see if they make these cars stiffer. You're going to have some, you won't see them running over the curbs like they did. That's for damn sure, because they're liable to break a piece of suspension. It's going to be so stiff, it'll be teeth chattering. I'm hoping that they can find a way to allow, as the car goes down, to sort of let some of the air out from underneath. And that way you don't get the bottoming out. It maybe steadies it out. Balance is the biggest problem all of these teams are having right now.
Right. Yeah. And then McLaren, they had some frustrations. They endured the challenging time with a front axle issue that they weren't able to fully address. The general feeling of the team is that they have not had a lot of improvements to make across the board. Oops, sorry about that. But there's confidence that they can make what they need before this coming weekend's race. So they had some axle issues on the front end of that car. But again, these are smart guys. They know what they're doing. They've run tests. They got it on the track. And that's what we talk about, even in the NASCAR side of things with the tire issue. Why didn't they figure this out? Why didn't they have, you said it earlier, McLaren helping them out and doing some things and running some tests. But listen, when you get in real world situations and you get out there with other cars and you're on a track and you're testing, you get in the dirty air and stuff like that, you find things out. And this is what that shakedown was for their testing the last couple of days. And who's sandbagging? That's just it. You don't know until
you don't ever know until those lights go out. You just don't know. Mercedes and all of the, it's one of those situations where me does think thou protest too much, so you've got Hamilton over there going, oh, no, we're having all these struggles and all of these fights, and they may very well know what they've got. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, go ahead. Sorry.
They may very well know what they've got. And when Bahrain shows up, when the race starts and the qualifying, you may see a lot of changes in that car that we didn't see.
Yeah, that's right. I do want to make mention with the Drive to Survive, the F1 thing on Netflix that they have. There was one time I saw, it was at the test last year, obviously at the beginning of the season, and Hamilton was walking around Max's car, and he came back and did a little report to Toto saying, well, they closed off this at the back and they did this over here.
They do it all the time.
I was very surprised that it was that open. It was like he was walking around the car, taking mental notes the whole time.
Yeah, and last year, all Verstappen had to do was touch a rear wing, and he gets fined. He gets penalized. I mean, come on.
I even saw the part where I think it was in the first race, and Verstappen got around him, but went off track a little bit because he had to go so far out, and they made him give the spot back. But then they showed like 2 episodes later where Hamilton got wide off track, came in, nothing happened to him. Nothing. They didn't give the spot back to the guy he passed. None of that. And I thought, that's a little weird.
They got to get these rules correct. They got to get them right. You're either on the track or off the track, and it doesn't matter which driver you are. Some of the, I don't know if it's bias or it is simply just not staying within the spirit of those rules and completely staying within them, and not, there's just no mulligans if you're a golf player, and I'm not. I can't play putt-putt. So it's like, who knows?
I actually went to Top Golf. You ever played Top Golf where they just tee off on the building and there's big holes in the ground?
No.
The cup is like the size of my house, so you could definitely shoot it in there.
I can't hit the damn ball, so who gives a crap?
All right, he's Michele Rahal. I'm Rob D'Amico. We're going to take a break. This is RaceDay Nation, the post-race edition. You can follow us along at racedaynation.com. Also, our social media channels at RaceDay Nation. We'll be back right after this. Stick around. Place where fire and flavor are celebrated, where grilling traditions and new techniques are perfected. Here in Big Green Egg Country, you can grill it, roast it, smoke it, or bake it. It's the most versatile grill you'll ever own. Simple to light, easy to use, comes with a free lifetime warranty. Have it delivered to your door by a certified dealer in your community and start enjoying the ultimate cooking experience. Shop online for home delivery at biggreenegg.com. That's biggreenegg.com. All right, welcome back to RaceDay Nation. I'm Rob D'Amico alongside Michele Rahal. You can follow me at Rob D'Amico. It's right there on the screen at ROBDAMICO. And Michele, where can they find you at?
They can find me at Michele Rahal. That's MICHELE and the number 9. Again, no idea why the 9 showed up, but
yeah, it's weird. I thought it would have been like row 7, block C, cell 9. After all this time,
should have been. I can name a few times when it should have been.
Yeah, don't forget, you can go to our website, racedaynation.com. Look us up there, and we got other podcasts up there. Plus, we got some great news and rumors from our friend over at TobyChristies.com. So we appreciate those guys coming on with us and doing some stuff. Again, congratulations to the winners list, Noah Gragson in the Xfinity Series, and you also had Chase Briscoe from the Stewart-Haas in the Cup Series at Phoenix. So congratulations to those guys. I do want to talk about IMSA. IMSA's coming up with Sebring next week. There's a big test there now. The FIA's WEC's testing there. So they have all the cars out there. I think even some of the IMSA cars are starting to show up this week for setup on Wednesday so they can get ready for the race stuff. But I think some of the big things there is that the IMSA has established the starting balance of performance for the remainder of the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship season ahead of next weekend's Mobile One 12 Hours of Sebring. No performance-related changes have been made to the DPI's ranks since the 10-hour enduro at Michelin Raceway at Road Atlanta, with all of the changes in the common. All the changes come in the common GTD Pro and GTD, which is the amateurs. That's where everything's happening. I think it's the Acura GT3 Evo 22 has been given a 20-kilogram weight break, but I think the Corvette and the BMW get to weigh in at a 13.15 and then a 13.40 respectively. So it's pretty close, but those were some of the changes. And then on the Lexus struggled a little bit. They're giving them listen to this, a 1 millimeter larger air restrictor. So that'll be, it's amazing how little adjustments make big improvements. I mean, we see that with NASCAR and the tire pressures and things like that. But this is really, they get really down there. I mean, 1 millimeter.
They're in the weeds, man. They're in the weeds with them, and balance of power. It should probably be added to the 7 dirty words that you can't say on air. I feel sorry for Bo Barfield and for Doonan and all those guys that, you know, are part of this. I mean, there's a whole nother group on the technical side that, you know, establishes this balance of power. But that is the screaming argument at virtually every driver meeting, every technical meeting they have, is how can you do that to me? I mean, you've got cars out there where the street cars have more power.
Yeah.
You know, 500 horsepower, they limit certain cars to, like the Ferraris or something. And then a Ferrari you buy on the street, 670 horsepower. I mean, it's a tough job. My hat's off to them for trying. But there's got to be some easier way to come up with this. And if I ever discover it, I'm going to patent the son of a gun. I want to make some money off of it.
Hey, Rob, I'm out of here.
You know, I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to present this to somebody else. I just had a brainstorm.
There you go. Write it down so you don't forget it, old man.
I'm doing it right
he's doing it right now. Note to self. But seriously, these guys, it's one of those things. You're never going to make anybody happy or all people happy, because at some tracks, cars corner better than others. Some are stronger on straightaways. And it's weird how that you're trying to balance this performance and balance the power, but it's not going to always work, because the tracks, you can't make a track to please all either, because you're going to have some that are tight corners. You're going to have some that are high speed corners. You're going to have some that have longer straightaways, and some cars work better on others and others don't work well on, you know, the other side of it. So you're never going to get that right. No,
it's not going to happen. There's got to be an easier way. And I just wrote down
the easier way. You're just not telling anybody.
I'm just not telling a damn soul. I've learned enough in my years of covering and being in the sport. Just keep your mouth shut until you've got something in writing.
Yeah.
I've been screwed enough where they ain't no hooker out there got anything on me.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
He's Michele Rahal. I'm Rob D'Amico. I got you thinking now. You're like, wait a minute. There was at one time in Miami.
Look, I can walk into the damn kitchen and wonder why the hell I'm in there.
All right. All seriousness though, but the IMSA cars, these are some of my I love IMSA. I love the sports car stuff. I just love these cars on track. It's the same cars. You can pretty much see you driving around in as well on track. So these are some of the things I like to see, you know, the Ferraris, the AMGs, Porsches. You know, I'm not really big into the DPIs and LMP2 stuff, but the reason
the LMP2s and LMP3s, the LMP3 cars are harder to drive than the LMP2s. LMP3s, steel brakes, just a whole different sort of thing. And that's what's teaching these drivers. I mean, with the LMP2 cars, you can stand on those carbon fiber brakes and, you know, it stops.
Yeah.
Those cars stop. So they're, from what I've been told by Sean Rahal, they are easier to drive, the LMP3 cars. But LMP2, yeah, I think that is a pretty badass little car. The DPIs, what are they going to end up doing with these things? That's where the manufacturers are trying to show their stuff.
That's what I mean.
DPI, right?
It's important to have it because that's where the technology is tested and verified and things like that. And I think obviously it's a necessary part of racing, and you do need that. But to me, the car itself, it's like I can, I want one of those cars. I want to, you know, get behind the wheel. No, it's not the case. But the technology and what they're trying to do and learn for these other cars and the street cars I can get in, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, if ever I had been given the opportunity to the GT class, would have been great. But having driven a prototype, one of the GTP cars, man, I got to go with that prototype. It just was that's a car where, you know, coming out of the pits, you can spin out that kind of power. It's just amazing. And if anybody ever watched, and you can find it on YouTube, ever watch Fernando Alonso carve the field up at Le Mans, it is stunning. The power that those cars actually have, and that is it was a hybrid for sure. And I don't oppose the hybrids. It's the all electric. I'm just like,
so
please.
that was I was just going to ask you that. Okay, so you have these new series, new cars are coming out left and right, all electric. GM's trying to go by, I think, 2034, something like that, where they're going to have all electric cars. But I was also reading, some statistics about the lithium and the metals that are needed and all this stuff.
Yeah.
We don't have enough.
No, we don't.
We do not have enough to get past like 2045, which I find amazing.
Who does? China.
Yeah, well,
that's what China's been doing for the last 10, 15 years, is they've been debt trapping these countries that do have those rare earth materials.
Yeah.
And they've been lending them money. And when they can't pay the money back exactly on time, the Chinese Communist Party is going, okay, well, guess what? We will forgive part of that debt. But, oh, by the way, we get first shot at your infrastructure, at building it. And we get, about that Navy base, that little base that's sitting there, those docks that you have, we'd like to turn that into a naval base. So they trap these countries and they get the rare earth materials and minerals.
My point is that hydrogen is something that I think we should be going in that direction. Even with racing, skip electric at this point and go straight to the hydrogen stuff.
They have invested so much now in the electric side of this. And what most people do not understand is electric only means storage. When it comes to the batteries, that's simply storage of power. That's not the creation of the power.
That's right.
That comes from burning coal, doing if you want to call it, that windmills and all that, really making a dent. It doesn't. It's the coal-powered plants that really make the difference. And, they have to dig up all this, all the coal. They have to dig up all these minerals. All of that is what produces the electricity. The batteries just store it. That's it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I just see that hydrogen, and I think that in the racing world, we should be getting ahead of that and going, okay. And I know, listen, the electric and all the companies are electric deep right now, but it doesn't make sense when you think of raw materials and the future that holds. That's just my opinion. And I thought, maybe, if racing was ahead of it and really wanted to get ahead and do something cool, that would be the way to go. But for me, right now, IMSA is some of my favorite racing because of the road racing and all that stuff. And I want to bring up another story here. And this one's the Jimmie Johnson one, because Jimmie Johnson has come out and said, I'm going to run the entire season, even the ovals. His best series finish was to date is a pair of 17th place finishes. 17th place. Can you believe that?
It's hard. It's very hard. People do not realize how difficult it is to change series like that. And it's gotten harder every year.
Yeah, I agree.
So does Johnson have a little bit better feel because he's going to be running ovals? Yes, but don't expect him to set the world on fire on an oval in an INDYCAR, because it's not going to handle like those, almost 4,000-pound cars that he was used to.
It just shows you how challenging North America's premier open wheel series for all drivers, even the 7-time NASCAR champ, Jimmie Johnson. But Johnson expects the ovals to be a different story for him. He spent most of his career on the ovals in NASCAR. But again, like you said, Michele, I don't believe that this is going to be able to walk in a park for him, because they head to Texas this coming week, and that is a fast track. Man. And where I'm going with this is that INDYCAR heads to Texas, a 1.5 mile track. We know how fast it is. There's a total, I think, of 5 ovals on the season. There's Texas. They go to Iowa twice. It's a doubleheader, which is 1/8 of a mile. And then they go to Worldwide Technology Raceway, which is 1.25 mile. And then they have the Indianapolis 500, obviously. Yeah. I say you keep the 500. Do you absolutely need ovals in this series? Michele, what do you think?
You know how I feel about ovals. I've never liked them. Indy was the only one that I even, paid half of attention to. If Johnson were to be able to crack the top 10 or come close to that top 10 on ovals, on any of these ovals, I mean, he could become an Ed Carpenter. I'll run all the ovals and somebody else do the road racing. But, Johnson is convinced that he can, improve. And this is a new chance for him to give it a shot. He didn't do very well on a street course, but that's not unusual. Street courses are completely different from a regular road course.
Oh, absolutely.
Certainly different from an oval.
That's why I like seeing IndyCar and that type of racing on the streets and on the road courses, because that's the difference between them and like F1. F1's always going to be, except for like a Monaco, but it's always usually at a track, right? Except for their crown jewel, which is the Monaco race in F1. But they go to in IndyCar, if they went to the streets and the road courses, I'm fine with that. And keeping the one crown jewel of the Indianapolis 500. Take the other ovals. Even to me, an eighth of a mile with those rocket ships on there. Are you kidding me?
Sense to me. It does not make sense to me. And with the growth of F1 in the United States, IndyCar could do worse, than align themselves, because you've got people like Magnussen, who's gone to Haas now.
Right.
You've got other drivers that are, it was the Champ Car days when Montoya and Villeneuve were able to jump out of an Indy car, go to F1 and become, damn near world champions. I mean, Villeneuve did, of course. Montoya, different story. But I think that being able to, it gives more credibility to the road racing side of IndyCar if F1 and IndyCar are closer together. That makes sense, because there's not enough room for all these drivers around the world. There just isn't. They need a place to come to. IndyCar is a place where you want to race against the best. If you're not, it's like playing tennis. You don't want to play tennis against somebody worse than you. You want to play against somebody better than you so that you can learn. And it's the same way with IndyCar and Formula One.
It's funny. I heard somebody say one time, practice makes perfect. And they were like, no, it doesn't. Practice makes you better. And then you get better and better and better. And there isn't perfect.
Yeah, there's no perfect in auto.
Right.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, you can think you've put in the best lap on earth, and then somebody beats you by 1,000th of a second.
Yep.
Which has happened many times in F1.
Yeah. Over and over again. It's going to continue to happen.
Now, when does the IndyCar, the actual chassis and all change? What year?
Well, that's when the hybrid, and they're saying 2024.
Yeah, which is going to get pushed back because they're already having trouble with the hybrids and supply chain issues.
Yeah, but they said it was supposed to be, I think, 2023, and then they pushed it back to now it's 2024. So we'll see what happens there. All right, he's Michele Rahal. I'm Rob D'Amico. This is RaceDay Nation. We're going to take a break. We come back. We're going to be talking about an IndyCar driver possibly making his way to Formula One, and it's an American, which is pretty cool. So we're going to see how this all plays out, and we're going to discuss that coming up next right here on RaceDay Nation. There's a place where fire and flavor are celebrated, where grilling traditions and new techniques are perfected. Here in Big Green Egg Country, you can grill it, roast it, smoke it, or bake it. It's the most versatile grill you'll ever own. Simple to light, easy to use, comes with a free lifetime warranty. Have it delivered to your door by a certified dealer in your community and start enjoying the ultimate cooking experience. Shop online for home delivery at biggreenegg.com. That's biggreenegg.com. Welcome back. This is RaceDay Nation. I'm Rob D'Amico. Our website is racedaynation.com. You can find our podcast up there in two forms. You're going to have a video form, and then you also have the audio version as well. So whatever you need to do, you can download it, listen to it, watch it, whatever it is. Plus, there are about 8 other podcasts on there as well, from everything from off-road racing to iRacing to, just talking drivers and interviews and things like that. And then even going old school with this Scene Vault, which they talk about some of the old school racers and, you know, to have some of those great interviews back in the day, a little history lesson, if you will, you know, like Rahal, history.
Yeah. I didn't think I'd live this long, so go to hell.
I'll meet you there, buddy. All right, so you can go online and check that out. Again, video and audio versions, RaceDayNation.com. Plus, we have great stories and links at TobyChristie.com, so you can get that as well. But we appreciate those guys coming on board. Follow us on social at RaceDay Nation. You can follow me on social at Rob D'Amico, ROBDAMICO. That's Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, whatever's next in the world. I don't know. MySpace. I still have my MySpace, I think.
You gotta be kidding.
No, I don't. I seriously, I barely get on Facebook, and I feel bad because people reach out to me and I read the message. I'm like, oh, it's 2 months ago. I'm so sorry. I feel like a jerk. You know, you're like, I'm so rude.
Yeah, I really rate with you, right, Rob? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Mom. I forgot to. That's terrible. All right, let's talk about Colton Herta. Yeah. Obviously, signing a test deal, test driver, and some of the things out there. I think with the new FIA testing rules, you have to do 2 free practices during the season or something like that. So at some point, we will see him on track doing some things besides the behind-the-scenes stuff, which he gets to either race last year's car or prior to that. So, you know, pick one of those cars, but I have a feeling
that's for the initial test. That's for
testing. That's correct.
Yeah. So they can go test the older cars. In this case, it's 1 year old because they've got brand new cars that are completely different.
That's right.
So he's able to test that. And depending on how well he does in that, then he'll have the opportunity to do at least 2 of the rookie Friday practices.
That's right.
And if he does well in that, that gets his license where it needs to be, which is, you know, crock of crap, you know, to me. But then in the end, it's the way it is. That's their FIA rules. So let them have their FIA rules. Herta had, you know, plenty of experience in Europe. He was able to race in Europe, do well. He's done everything very well. And it's not going to hurt him at all, the fact that these new F1 cars are much harder to drive, much heavier, much more like an Indy car. Indy cars are very, very hard to drive. So I don't see Herta having a lot of trouble coming up to speed in terms of the weight of the car. It's just the technology of the car, all of the switching and all of the shenanigans. There is our word again. The shenanigans that go on with all the technology. It's coming to grips with that. I think is going to be hardest for him.
Okay. Obviously, he runs with Andretti Autosport in INDYCAR. How does this tie in, if at all, to the the F1 Andretti deal being put together behind the scenes and what they're trying to do and try to get, you know, obviously they've come up with the funds. They're able to do all the right paperwork, to due diligence, if you will, to get to where they need to be. How does this come into play that happens to be an Andretti driver here?
Well, I think it's one of those situations where Zach Brown has said, this is a good thing for America. He runs McLaren, but he's the only team that runs INDYCAR and F1. And he's given Herta a shot, and there may be a reason for that. I mean, Andretti and Zach Brown, McLaren, actually have a deal in Australian supercars. They're partners. So they've already done business together. So it's not a stretch to think that way. I mean, you've got what is the young guy's name? It's escaping me. It's one of McLaren's drivers in INDYCAR. Can't remember his name.
Ah, shoot. Now you're going to drive me nuts now.
Yeah. Whatever the case may be. It strikes me as a good thing. Zach Brown looks good. McLaren looks good in F1 and in INDYCAR. It's good for America. That's part of the deal. is that it's the right thing to do. And our hats off to Zach for doing it.
Yeah, I got to be honest. You know, some of these some of the situations that you have with IndyCar and the drivers there, like an Alexander Rossi, who I thought, you know, back when we were doing race day on Fox, he was talked about going to F1 and being the next American driver to hit the scene, but it never really, it never really went anywhere though. It didn't, obviously.
It was in a crap mobile. Let's not kid ourselves. I mean, it wasn't a minority, but it was damn close. It was a back running car. Scott Speed, same thing. I mean, you can't show what you can do. Look at George Russell, okay? Russell's in a Williams. They're at the back of the field, damn near the back of the field. He substitutes for Hamilton in one of the Mercedes, and he damn near wins the race. So the car does have a lot to do with it. The new cars they're having a lot more difficulty coming to grips with this new car than they've had. When they went to the hybrid era, Mercedes had it nailed down. We'll see at Bahrain when those lights go out. We'll see who's got what, at least the start.
Going back to the – go ahead, sorry.
It's the same thing. It's going to be the third or fourth race before you see how well these teams have come together and gelled and begun to come to grips with the new, not necessarily the new rules, but the new formula.
Yeah. Pat Award is one of the drivers and Felix Rosenquist. Yes. Those are the two drivers for Aero McLaren.
How the hell can I miss Pato Award and
dude,
get Rosenquist? I mean, God,
I got to tell you, Award is on it, man. He's like,
he wants it bad.
Yeah, he's impressive as a young guy. Also, to me, Alex Palou is one of those guys as well that I find very interesting to watch.
I would very much like to see at least her to get a shot at it. You know, it could be the same thing as when Michael went to Formula One. You know, he was an American. He was mistreated. He was. Even Senna came up. Even Senna, his teammate, said, "You're not treating him the same way you do me." So you got to hand it to Senna for at least admitting the truth. But yeah, we'll see how Colton does. I think with Zach Brown helping and Andretti, I think one way or another, Andretti's going to make his way in. The team principals have now begun to change their minds a bit on, you know, Andretti coming into the scene. They just want to make sure that, you know, it's a team that's worthy of being there. Well, God bless Gene Haas, but if Andretti can't make a car, you know, can't produce an automobile that will compete with Haas and the rest, you know, something's wrong here.
Listen, I do think the Andretti thing's going to happen. I do think an American driver, if we were in this situation today and a Michael Andretti came over there, or even, you know, listen, let's say Marco was up to speed and the name was able to come over, with having 2 or 3 races in the U.S., that changes things a lot on the global scale. Yes, totally.
All about money.
Yeah, and I think that's why you will see things like that happen, and you will see an American driver get the respect and be able to compete over there, because this market is important to the global for F1 globally.
Ferrari, for Mercedes,
all of them. Yeah,
everyone.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, I think we covered everything, Michele, on our post-race show. Our first one, we're trying something a little different. We used to get up and do the race day morning stuff, but trying the later stuff here and trying to get ahead of it and some things to talk about. So you have some things during the week to discuss, and then we come back and do it all again next week. But what'd you think of the night show? Evening show. For you it's night show because, you know, you're eating dinner at 4 o'clock. You got to be in bed by 7. I'm keeping you up late.
The blue plate special. Yeah, no, that's not me. I don't care how old I get.
What's the
nature is never going to change.
The buffet place, Piccadilly. You got Piccadilly's down there?
No damn Piccadilly. No, the last one of those places I ever went into was 30 years ago. and I'm eating some kind of vegetable dish from the buffet thing, there's a damn Band-Aid in it.
Oh, dude, you just ruined my dinner.
That's the last, and I will never go back into one of those.
I've heard a story like that before with somebody in Chile. Let's just leave it at that. And there was a Band-Aid in it. That's
no eyeball.
No eyeball. Yeah. Yeah. Floats up to the top.
Yeah, boy.
All right, man. Great stuff as always. Where can we find you online? I'm sure you're going to be getting some questions. And that's one thing I do as fans out there watching. Please interact with us. Send us questions. Tell us, hey, Michele, Rahal, you're an idiot. This is why that's not going to happen. Or Rob D'Amico, you're the coolest guy in the world. You know,
yeah,
hey.
Sure.
Or maybe flip-flop that. I don't know.
You can find me on Instagram at Michele Rahal, number 9. MICHELE RAHAL 9. You can find me there, and you can find me on Facebook. And then for some reason, that one is also got a 9 attached to it, but there are only 2 Michele Rahals on with 1 L. The other is a Spanish chess champion. Actually, he's a world champion.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we know which one got the brains.
Yeah, obviously.
You can follow me.
He got the strategy down. That's for damn sure.
You can follow me at Rob D'Amico. It's ROBDAMICO. Also the show at RaceDay Nation. Follow us online as well. RaceDayNation.com with all the podcasts. Again, the video version and the audio version. Michele, thanks once again for this week, and we'll come back for next week. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you joining us each and every week.